This is Amelía Eon Karis,
This is Satya,
and you're listening to Love, Sex, and the Hidden Agenda. Our podcast was created with the sole intention to release toxic shame, illuminate our shadow nature, and expose the mysterious entities that feed off our most precious life force, our sexual energy. To learn more about our life-enhancing courses and transformational retreats, visit knowtheself.com. Let's get started.
So being the queen of reinvention that you are, and you've had to recalibrate yourself so many times and rebirth yourself so many times in different situations, and now in a way, this adventure that we're on right now at this time, I'm imagining that you're going through some of that again, and I feel like I am, and I feel like a lot of people are. So, you teach the rebirth and renewal process because you've been living it your whole life. And so when, how do you teach that? Like, because this happens to you so often.
It does. One thing I've recognized is, when it first started happening to me, this feeling of like a cataclysmic change in my life, it started with early childhood trauma. And then like every time I had a success in my life, something external would happen. Like whether it was, my sister trying to commit suicide or being in rehab or some external drama that would sort of take the wind out of my wings, or
your sister being in rehab. I just want to clear that up.
What's that?
Rehab. Not you being in rehab, your sister being in rehab.
Yeah. No, there was always some external drama that every time my life was going really good and sort of humming along, my business, my love life, whatever it was, there was some kind of whack that just kept happening to me. And that's what put me on my spiritual journey and like going to alternative, healers and doing all this kind of shamanic work, because there was some sort of force. I felt like I had this curse hovering me that any kind of success or, whenever my life was good, something really bad happened. So I started studying energetics, and I was thinking, all these years, this has been, 40 years of this. And I call myself like the Queen of Reinvention because there's so many times I've had to like just start over from zero, whether it was like the house fire burning everything down, or one time I had a robbery, or I got really ill and couldn't work for a year and just had to like stop everything that was happening and recalibrate. So these recalibration points is what they are. And I've been like mining it, like, what is the message here? Like, what are you trying to tell me?
Yeah.
And I kept hearing like, well, you're just a forerunner, like it's happening to you so that you can see your way through it and kind of notice that the whole thing is like an illusion. Like we are in this illusionary holographic realm. And all of those traumas and dramas brought me all these gifts. Like, I had to learn to meditate to survive. Otherwise, I don't know where I would be, but not where I am, if I didn't learn the skill of meditating and know how to like self-regulate. And I had to develop so much resilience to move through and to keep going and to still have dreams and aspirations, regardless of the hard knocks and, what life was going to throw at me next. And I find it fascinating. Like when my house fire happened, it was 2015. And I heard also, well, here's just, how to reinvent, like just do your own process. You've been through this a million times. It's another dark night. Just go through. So each time it happens, there's a tinge that's harder, right? It's like, no, not again. And like the trauma response. But then there's this part that's getting so strong, an internal structure that is it's starting to feel like a pillar of steel, like in my backbone or something. That's just saying like, this all doesn't matter. It's all showing me the truth of what I know. Like I know how to be in the center of my being and hold steady regardless of how strong the wind blows or how intense the storm is. Like even if it's full destruction and death, I will still exist. Like I will remain. And I kept hearing like, well, this is going to start happening to other people. And then sure enough, fast forward a couple years, like right when I recovered from my whole fire experience, suddenly, everyone I knew's house was burning down. It just became like the California fires started, the Santa Rosa fires where, I went to college there. So I had a lot of friends in Santa Rosa. And then it was up in, Oregon, Ashland. At one point while I lived in Mount Shasta, there were 40 fires surrounding me. I was like trapped in a safe bubble. And I was able to kind of feel and empathize. I don't know, it's just interesting. So I've learned to like glean the gems from my hard wax and to get out of victimhood, because I think we all get trapped there when something bad happens, like if our house burns down. Of course, we are a victim to the fire, right? Like there's a very strong reality to that. Or if you were raped or abused, like, yes, you're a victim, but then that inner resilience like builds like, well, wait, I'm also the creator. Like I can use my spiritual design, my like kind of interdimensional presence to create from that energetic space. So it's not like I've ever arrived. And I always hear like, well, you don't arrive, you just keep going. Like the patterns don't change, they just get a little bit easier. And we have to rewrite, we have to install the new hardware. And I think right now with the whole global lockdown, that everybody, now there's nobody left out of this recalibration pivot. Everyone's businesses are having to pivot. Everyone's reality, relationships are changing very quickly. Political views are being polarized. Everything's changing. Everybody's like, I don't know. The world's upside down for pretty much everyone at this moment. Like we don't know how to plan anymore. It's like, wow, welcome to PTSD. Welcome trauma survivor. For all of you who thought you weren't, that you were like the stable, steady ones and like thought everyone else was chaotic, because I've had that perspective pushed on me many times. Now we're all in it together. So I find it, I don't know, somewhat like a entertaining cosmic joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is
like everything has to, right now, everyone is pivoting. Even the businesses that are actually doing really well are becoming overwhelmed, and people who are working are having to work triple time because of all the meetings on Zoom and all of this kind of thing. And those people are like, I can't take this anymore. Something's got to change, or maybe I have to leave this, even though it's a lucrative, great thing. It's just, I don't know. People are, it's having, forced to pivot in one way or another right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. Where I live in Mexico, it's a huge tourist destination, and all the businesses here, like 90% of them are based on tourism. And so everyone has had to pivot and shift and find new sources of income, or just completely redesign the business almost overnight. And it's incredible, like what's happening because of it. I love change because it makes us creative. It makes us like get deep and down to like what really matters here. Like what's the most important thing? Like when my house burned down, people ask me like, what did you grab? You have minutes. People ask that question all the time. You have minutes to leave your house. If you had minutes to leave your house, what would you grab? What's the most important thing? Nobody expects it to actually happen. I mean, some people now are prepared. There's all these people who are very prepared for disaster, but most of us are never really prepared for the disaster that strikes our life, right? And for me, it was just really funny because my house fire, the house actually exploded downstairs while everyone was asleep, and I was the only one awake. And I heard the explosion. I thought it was like gunfire or something outside. And it was the windows exploding downstairs from the fire. And I looked out the window and I saw the fire in our house, like in the lower unit. And I thought, oh, I guess, I just have to wake people up. And the only thing I threw my phone on the bed because I was on my phone when I heard it. Like the phone, I don't know why you would think bring the phone with you, like you need to call 911, but no, I didn't. I just like got everyone out of bed and grabbed, when I went back up to like see what I could grab, I just grabbed a jacket and a snow jacket and snowshoes. Like I didn't live in the snow, but I knew it was going to be a long night and I was in my pajamas and I knew I was going to be cold. And, funny enough, I ended up moving into snow country and I needed those two things,
Wow. But in those moments when it's survival, it is about, you don't think of your phone because you're just thinking of comfort. You're thinking of survival things like warmth and not freezing to death. I mean, it makes sense.
People and warmth. I was just like, it's going to be a long night. And literally, the people we pulled out of bed, one of the girls, she was just in a bra and underwear. Everyone was in their pajamas. There were 6 of us. 3 of them were barefoot.
Yeah, that's, I remember that. And the fact that you ended up eventually moving to where there were just all those fires and then, oh man. And even we had the retreat up there on the mountain and the fires were.
Yeah, I had to move from there. Now I'm surrounded by water. I have water in every direction. Like there's underground rivers. There's like, it rains all the time. There's the ocean's really close. Like it's just lots of water here, almost too much water, but yeah, it's interesting.
When people are going through that process, like the rebirth, when they're waking up or what's your, like you help so many people through that. I mean, you're a master at that. And so do you ever feel like you need help going through it? Or are you
oh God,
like a lone ranger, you know it so well, you just do it. It's kind of automatic for you.
Well, it has become like an automatic thing that I do just almost on the regular. I mean, I have a practice of doing the rebirth and renewal process I design every year just to like recalibrate or, fine tune my lifestyle, look at what's off, what's working, what's not quite right. Because I think, we're living in a time where we're just constantly having to adjust the dials of, if we focus on, money, then maybe our relationships suffer or something like that. Right? So there's always like, whatever we focus on, there's a counter effect somewhere else in our life. So I have a process of like keeping myself balanced and in a humming zone. But yeah, there's so many times where I wish I could like consult with myself, like the part of me that knows the rebirth and renewal process so well, because when I do get hit with it, of course, like we need help. It's not a process you can really do alone. I mean, you can do it alone. I've done it alone, but it's really in the reflection and in the witnessing and in the community aspect of it that helps you rebirth. Like we need doulas, we need soul lifestyle doulas, because we get so identified with our career, with our identity. Like if you just went through a divorce, right? Like you get so identified with being the wife of, or in partnership with, or not being single, being married, or having a specific career or that job title. And then when that's taken away or you walk away from it, people go through identity crisis. And I think right now with COVID and all of this lockdown, everybody's feeling it. Everybody is like, maybe they're putting on a good face and not talking about it, and the social distancing keeps us not knowing what's going on next door, but everyone is having to like pivot and redesign and figure it out. And we all have different ways of doing it. Some people are just like waiting for the government to like solve their problems, or thinking that the vaccine will come out and things will go back to normal. Nothing is going back to normal like what was before this. Nothing.
Mhm.
Like there might be remnants of it, things you remember, but we are literally in a new frequency band, because the whole frequency of the planet has changed. We're now all united by this virus. So that's kind of cool. Like we have a common I don't know, I guess I don't want to say enemy, but it's like we all have the same friend. We've had to make friends with COVID-19 at some level. Otherwise, we're just going to be fighting it and sort of in a self-destructive mode. So those of us who can adapt and change, and I'm excited by it, because it's in moments like this where like a great renaissance happens, or when the entrepreneurial spirit, the spirit that knows what it's here to do, or wants to act, or wants to be part of the change, gets activated. It's like, well, wait a second, like what kind of life do you want to lead? And people who are underprivileged or feel trapped by their circumstances are going to hear this and think like, oh, easy for you to say, that's a privileged perspective. And I disagree. I think that it's not a privileged perspective. It's just another perspective. And I know people who have been, myself included, in the worst circumstance you can imagine. And it's that thought, it's that idea that you can change, that you can create, that you can maybe have a dream. And if you allow it, if you give it to yourself, like that's what shifts the tides, because we're so used to, we're so entrained to keep giving our power to circumstances and everyone else around us. And we can't change it. We can't change what the government's doing. I mean, we can vote and hope it helps, right? But we can't actually control what's happening in the world. All we can do is control like our response and how we, redesign and maneuver. So I think this is the practice. I think that we're all going to have to get more and more used to it. And I love helping people in the process, because it's like birthing something new, and it's scary. And in that part when you're in the labor pains and in the contraction of it, you freak out. Like everyone, even I freak out. There's moments of like sleepless nights. I just had it recently, just a few sleepless nights of like, okay, something's coming, something's about to pop, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's like a two-headed alien monster, or it's like the most precious, beautiful, next thing. Like I think we get to decide if we tune to love, if we tune to like a higher frequency, then I think this is where the magic is. So it's really fun when I get to take people through the process, and not fun when I'm in it. So yes, I would love someone hand holding to take me through it. Yeah.
The human brain likes to know what's coming all the time, know everything, likes to have things to expect, and so when we don't really know, but we feel it and we know we have to do something, something's coming. It's pretty intense when that happens. It requires a lot of trust, like, hey, I can do this, whatever this is, I can figure this out. I can, I'm okay. I'm good enough. I still love myself. I'm still worthy of good things. And it's a lot of self-soothing for me when I'm in those kinds of things.
Yeah, that's a huge part of it. I mean, if you can self-soothe, that's that's ideal. I think it's hard when, when we have patterns, like familial patterns or whatever personal patterns we've developed of like self-loathing, we can really beat ourselves up thinking we have to be perfect, or we have to look a certain way, or we have to uphold to the standard that we held for ourselves in the previous incarnation of us. Like, but we're in a process of conscious evolution. This is conscious evolution, guys. It's messy, it's creative, it's precious and beautiful, it's painful. We need help, we need new structures, and I'm excited. I am going through a big rebirth phase myself, which maybe I will share more in the coming episodes. But it's fun, and I do love holding people in the process. And I've actually just opened up my one-on-one consulting to support people in the process. And because I think everybody is just like, what's happening? Everything's restructuring. Where do I go? What do I do? From personal life, spiritual beliefs, so many truths are shaking out. People are getting blown out in that way. Financially, people are getting blown out. And obviously career direction, goals, dreams. Like if you had a dream, you thought you were going to be traveling all year, and then suddenly you're stuck in your house, all that stuff.
Yeah. And I wonder too, if a lot of people are asking themselves right now, like, am I strong enough to do this right now? Am I strong enough for this next thing, or to be in this? I mean, I know, and that definitely, I relate that feeling in a way to birthing. Well, all these feelings, but it's that crunch time, that feeling like you're being like squeezed or something from all angles, and it's unclear. There's no absolute certainty, but I think for us to be at our best, and for us to really be alive and experience life, it is this sort of like, we need both the uncertainty. We need the uncertainty sometimes. Otherwise we can't grow.
Well, there's no magic in certainty, right? Like that's the magic of life, is sort of we can't figure everything out. Like there's a part where we just show up and play our role. Mm-hmm. And then the magic sort of shows up and deliver. Like when you're in birth, you don't know, if you didn't have a sonogram and you didn't do a DNA test and all that, say you don't know all those things. It's going to be a surprise. And you still don't know this child, right? You don't know what you're giving birth to. And I think that's the magic. That's the joy and the beauty. And soul work is like that. Like we're evolving to the next level of us, and we don't know who we're becoming. We just know that the old stuff is being stripped off. So like the snake shedding its skin, or the butterfly emerging from the cocoon and not knowing what color it is, not even knowing it can fly. Like, what a magical thing to go from a worm to a butterfly. Like, talk about perspective shift. You're down in the grass, like you can't see past the blade of grass, and next thing you're hovering above, seeing birds, and it's a different perspective. And I think we're all in that perspective shift right now. And so it's exciting. And to answer the question, am I strong enough? What I've told, because I've definitely been there and I feel like I'm not strong enough. And I think every woman who's given birth goes, I can't do it. Like right at birth, like right when it's about to come, most women freak out and they're like, I can't do this, make it stop. But we're designed for this. Like we're here at this time because we do have the strength. We're developing more resilience. There is a magical unfolding going on. And if we can trust and surrender and sort of align to the higher frequency, align to the higher thought, align to the beauty and the joy and the magic, and like let go of all the fear and the drama and the scarcity and the total nightmare freak out. Like we need to practice disconnecting from that and finding places within ourselves of, silence and joy and connection and self-soothing, like you said.
I've been feeling that way too. Just it definitely feels like for a minute you go into the like the the fear or the second guessing or the like, and then that feels so not good. For me, what I do is I'm like, okay, well, I don't like that feeling. And now I've lived long enough to know that things always work out, and whatever I'm going to have, you know, if I'm going to have anxiety about something, or if I'm going to like it, when has it ever been worth it? It's never, because things always work out. And, you know, and so, but so for me, it ends up feeling very grounding, because my choice in that moment is, okay, so I'm going to just, you know, be really grounded about this. And then it starts to feel quiet, and it starts to feel slow and dreamlike and surreal. And then that's where it's really just going into intuition. I feel like in that moment we're connected, really, or I feel very connected to, like, okay, I know what exactly, how exactly, no, but I know. You know,
I love how you describe that.
And to follow that is just all we can do. And kind of like that, you know, feeling your feet on the ground and just that one step in front of the other, and breathing. Because I notice that before that, I'm not breathing unless I stop for a second. And, you know, and luckily, like, you know, all of that meditation that we've done before, it's like you can instantly access it, whether or not you're meditating all the time anymore or not.
Yeah, because you've created like you've created that frequency in your body to just be like a default.
Exactly.
And for me, I love how you describe just going in the flow and all of it. I could feel how you do that, how you slow it down and just kind of move through and be in that dreamlike state. And then the other practice I find really helpful for me is dance, because dance is all about learning flow, rhythm, listening, getting in rhythm. You know, like people who dance off rhythm, it's so hard to watch. Or if you're dancing off rhythm, it feels off in the body. Like, I'm off rhythm. Like, what's going on? And you just stop and jerk around, and you're trying to like get back in the flow, and then you find the flow. And it's just so magical when you're dancing in perfect rhythm. It just feels like flying. It's just, there's something magical happens. And when you look at a skilled dancer who's in that zone, it just elevates the whole room. Everybody can look at it and just be like, wow, because it's this like perfected flow. And I think that expecting perfection all the time is a trap.
Oh gosh, yes, huge.
It's such a trap. Huge. And for us to just be willing to like be in the dance, be in the practice, that's the practice. And to stop judging everyone, as including yourself, who isn't looking the role, who isn't the best dancer, who isn't, you know, so smooth and eloquent on the dance floor. Like, just, you know, that was you once. So even if you are a skilled dancer, right? And I find these changes so humbling. So humbling, because anytime your ego gets attached to your identity, sure enough, there will be one of these rebirth cycles about to happen. So hang on, friends, we're in it together. If you need support, if you want to learn what my rebirth process is, you know, message me. You can find our information on our website. Yeah, that's it. Until next time. Bye. Farewell. To learn more about our life-enhancing courses and transformational retreats, visit knowtheself.com.